Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gap Major, and this is a review of the American Tier 7 destroyer, premium destroyer I should say, USS Black, which is obviously locked behind active backing of the June-July 2022 campaign patch, and is one of the ships of choice, I guess you could say, because there are two options. Now this is a Tier 6 and 7 game of domination on Shatter. On the enemy team we have Benson, Friesland, ZF6, Helena, Sinop, Brandenburg, Iowa. So an interesting mix in the enemy team. Lots of well, you got the two Brandenburgs have sonar. The ZF6, no, the Friesland will have quite aggressive sonar, I guess you could say as well. So we're just gonna have to play a little by ear. I guess also worth mentioning the ZF6 will have a main battery reload booster. So USS Black is obviously a Fletcher class destroyer, and yeah, we'll talk a little bit about historical accuracy maybe a bit later on, I guess you could say. So as always, in comparison to all of the fully upgraded tech tree destroyers at this tier, what are we looking at in comparison? Well, she does have the joint 4th lowest HP of 16,700. When it comes to her armor scheme, she has the typical tin can armor scheme that you'll probably be used to when it comes to destroyers. Noting that I have absolutely no support, so we're going to probably be breaking off here and maybe taking a bit of a flank, I think. When it comes to artillery, she has 5 number 5-inch guns. She has A and B turret mounted up front, with B turret superfiring. We have X and Y turret of the year, with X turret also superfiring. And then we have Q turret, which is aft midships, I guess you could say. So an interesting position. It does mean that she has 3 forward-facing turrets and 2 aft-facing turrets, but she can only bring 2 guns to bear forward and aft with a 5-gun broadside. So these guns will offer you an average range of 11 kilometers. Also the third fastest reload of 3.6 seconds. Also the joint fastest turret reverse speed of 5.3 seconds per 180 degrees of rotation. We're just swinging out wide to get a good position, I hope, on the flanks in these battleships. Now, the shells, high explosive shell damage is only 1,800, which is pretty average for the tier. She also has the joint lowest fire chance of 5%, and the second lowest AP shell damage of 2,100. Spotted here, not sure what by. Now we're going to radar these ZF6. Just because we can. And then we're going to get out of here because we know we've got the Brandenburg there. The Brandenburg will have sonar. She's probably already popped it, honestly. So yeah, we got to the AP shell damage, didn't we? So now we can move on to the DPM. So obviously she's got 5 guns, quite fast reloading guns, however, not the best damage per shell, I guess you could say. So what that interprets down to is that she has the 3rd highest high explosive shell damage, the 4th lowest fires per minute, and an average AP DPM. So gun wise she's alright, I guess you could say. So really, I'd say in order to give her some really good torpedoes, and we'll come to those when we get to them, they haven't really sacrificed too much when it comes to the guns, which I think is obviously maybe a bit of a oversight potentially. We'll put another launcher over there and we'll just keep firing these torpedoes out because they're great torpedoes. So, talking about torpedoes, let's move on to them. She has 2 quintuplet launchers mounted on the centerline. These can both fire either side, and they have very nice angles, I guess you could say. Lots of coverage on these torpedoes in regards to aerial denial, and that's very much what I use them for because they are really vicious. Now, these have an average reload per launcher of 96 seconds. However, you are looking at the fastest reload per tube, which is 19.2 seconds. Now, these torpedoes offer you the highest torpedo damage for the tier of 21,600. Now they also have the second shortest detection range of 0.9 kilometers, and that's second only really to the Pan Asian destroyers with the deep water torpedoes. So you have to consider that these are actually the shortest detectability normal torpedoes. So these torpedoes can hit everything and will do 21,000 damage, which is pretty much enough to like wipe out a destroyer if it's caught unsuspectedly. Now there's the ZF6 again, but potentially, now usually ZF6 will try to use AP. There we go, I wanted the beta in to shoot it. I think that's his reload booster over and done with. So now we can use our superior DPM to wipe him out. And immediately thanks to the location of the smokescreen from the ZF6, he actually gave me a escape route out of that one. I suspect the Brandenburg will suddenly turn back in, so we're actually going to do some probably quite strange torpedo launches here and keep harassing these chaps. Now, the torpedoes are the slowest, doing a top speed of 43 knots base, I guess you could say. Obviously you can buff that up, and this means that it gives the torpedoes like an average reaction time, but because they have their really short detectability, there's actually some really grubby pay-to-win commander builds you can kind of do in order to make these pretty much the best torpedoes at the tier, along with having a very good capable gunboat as well, I guess you could say. And it's worth mentioning, obviously she has that radar. Now the torpedoes do also have the longest range for the tier at 13.7 kilometers, and she did do the turn, but not as early as I expected. Manoeuvrability, she has the joint second slowest top speed of 35 knots. She also has the joint smallest turn circle of 560 meters, and also the joint second fastest rudder shift of 3 seconds. So manoeuvrability wise, she seems quite reasonable, although potentially just a little bit slow. Concealment wise, she has a just about joint average concealment of 7.1 kilometers by sea. Her detectability by air is 3.5 kilometers, and detectability when firing from smoke is 2.6 kilometers. Now, there's only the 2 battleships which have kind of harassed me for most of this game, so we're over here. We've been over here on our own most of this time, really, and we've tied up 3 ships for a good part of that. Consumables, she has engine boost ×2, and this will improve her base speed by 8%, taking her up to 37.8 knots, and this is for 120 second duration, along with a 180 second reload. Now this can be swapped out, I guess you could say, for radar ×3. Now this has a range of 7.5 kilometers, duration of 13 seconds, and 150 second reload. Now I couldn't really see like a feasible radar build with the black. I did try and look for one, so that's why when it came to the command, I kind of just focused on torpedoes. Now she also has Smokescreen. You get 2 of these. These have a 28 second duration, 124 second dispersion, and 240 second reload. So always down the description is going to be the commander build and the modules. Modules I've taken is Aiming Systems Module 1, Propulsion Module 2, Concealment Systems Module 1, and Main Battery Module 3. The Main Battery Module 3 obviously slows down the rotation but improves the rate of fire, and I think that's quite a nice cheeky one. Now the commander build, I've gone for Gleaves. I'd say that's probably quite a nice one. I'd say that this is a very good hybrid boat. You could go either way. You could go focus on guns, maybe like a Fletcher, but because the torpedoes are quite good, you could also focus on the torpedoes, or you could focus on other elements of this ship, things like concealment, things like that. So really, I wouldn't say the commander build I've got is the most suitable for everyone. It's really just a grubby build, I guess you could say. So what I've done, obviously Gleaves is a tech tree commander, but what I've done is I've inspired by two very grubby pay-to-win commanders, which are they're going to be nigh impossible to get hold of any. So they're only going to be viable if you've gone. I've used Zerle Atago. She's basically no longer going to be available for sale due to the controversy that happened with the voice actor and the voice actor in game. So that kind of means that that commander is not going to be on sale again, and for at least a good while until maybe something gets resolved. So potentially that's a little bit grubby, I guess you could say. Furthermore, I've used Space Fishy. Now, Space Fishy is a commander which came from an April Fool's event about 2.5 years ago, and he hasn't really made a return. So again, and he improves torpedo speed, circling target, reduces detectability of the torpedoes. So I've got quite a grubby speed detectability build on the torpedoes, which makes some really good torpedoes. And you've got to consider the black's already quite a capable gunboat build, I guess you say. If you download those commanders, and obviously I wouldn't say this build is for everyone, but you could use the classical Sims and Bay inspirations. You could do Bay and Schwertskins inspirations. You could maybe go for a gun build, I guess you could say. Gunboat build wise, you probably want to be using things that will buff your reload, or you could maybe go. I did want to dabble with the idea of a radar build, but the only thing I could really think of was to do something that would increase or reduce the reload time of my radar. So that would have been using Togo to reduce reload time of consumables, and probably Hot Rod to obviously reduce the reload time there again. My torpedoes probably not hit their mark unless this. Oh, okay, I wasn't expecting it to kill the guns, but yeah. I managed to wrap up the game quite nicely, although I'm not expecting my position to be too high on the table because my contribution wasn't really too much. It was more of being a thorn in the side of the enemy team. Opinions on Black, she's a very strong tier 7 destroyer, and I think when it comes to the end of this campaign, I'd say she's the better choice. She's the must pick, I guess you could say. In comparison to USS Independence, yeah, I mean, Black just stands head and shoulders above the Independence in regards to capability and utility. The only reason why I'd say you probably want to pick the Independence over Black is if you really, really, really hate destroyers and you love carriers. And if you are, then fair enough. So I kind of feel that USS Independence has kind of been tacked onto this campaign in order to sell more doubloons, I guess you could say. It's my honest opinion. But yeah, USS Black, definitely the one to pick in all our recommendations. So okay, only 40,000 damage, not a massive damage game, getting 2 kills, one of them being the ZF6, which I entirely wiped out, so maybe the XP might be alright there, and then the rest of it's just drips and drabs of torpedoes on battleships. But I kind of tied up that side and kind of meant they couldn't really move off. And being able to obviously take on a ZF6 was quite cheeky, especially when you consider the ZF6 has like a max damage, main battery reload booster, which he did use and really did start to pile on the pain at one point. So team-wise, okay, I'm very surprised I'm walking away first out of that one, but then again, it kind of attributes that sometimes it's not about damage, sometimes it's about positioning, caps, and also what you kill. And I killed 100% of a tier 7 destroyer in comparison to maybe dribs and drabs of this and that, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. Economy wise, obviously there are the changes to tier 7 economy, which has kind of taken place, I guess. It says here the ship service cost is only 120,000 credits, and obviously USS Black being a tier 7 premium, she does have an improved credit and potential. So with a premium count, I've been able to walk away with 357,000 credits. Should also mention that does include a rare credit booster. Well, I hope you did enjoy that review, even if the gameplay wasn't the best in the world, I guess you can say. But then again, that's why I record these live. I try to give you like a live interpretation of the game, along with a comparison of the ship to the tech tree ships, I guess you could say. If you did enjoy it, obviously feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy this content, feel free to subscribe. Down in the description is a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel on Patreon, as it is a non-montage channel, so you'll never see any adverts, never see any sponsorships on this channel, which obviously makes maybe viewing a little bit easier. Also, is the email address to the channel if you want to send in any gameplays, I guess you could say, although we haven't really done anything like that for a good while. And if you are a patron, your lovely name will be appearing on the end screen. I say thank you to everyone, and until next time, I'm the Gaff Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping major. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down. I guess this is the life. Now, hey, hey, clear the way. Here comes the galloping mail.